This is one I've been waiting for a while, ever since I did my last Chrysler Pacifica review. It was the last body style, and they just announced the updated design while I was doing that review, and I was really excited about getting this one, this updated design. So this is the 2021 Chrysler Pacifica. It's the Pinnacle, it's all-wheel drive. We're gonna get into all of that, but first, let's take a look at the newly updated exterior design. All right, and first off, we'll talk about that exterior color. It is Maximum Steel Metallic Clear Coat. It's a dark gray with some blue hints to it. I think it looks really good on this, especially in this Pinnacle with the chrome touches that it has. The new exterior styling includes standard LED headlamps, and yes, that is standard no matter what trim you get, which is really nice. You have the available hands-free power sliding doors, which we do have on this, as well as the power lift gate, which just increases the functionality for families, which I'm into. Now, there's not much you can do to the overall shape and design of a minivan, but this has newly designed front and rear fascias, and it's definitely a more sculpted look. Along the side here, we do have those 20-inch by 7.5-inch polished aluminum wheels with gray painted pockets. And those are running BSW all-season tires. You can see the chrome caps on those side mirrors, and they are power folding side mirrors, and they fold on lock. I love it. Obviously, we already touched on the doors on the side. You do have the Pinnacle nameplate there on the side as well, along with this chrome strip that goes completely around the cabin. This is the keyless entry system, so you can walk up to it, grab the door handle, and it will unlock, and then there's a button on the side that will lock the doors. And moving around the rear of the vehicle, you can see those new LED taillights, the full LED bar that goes across the entire width of the rear end. You can see the Pacifica nameplate, the fact that this is an all-wheel drive, and the Chrysler badge proudly on the hatch. And like I said, that's a power hatch. Let's go ahead and pop it and talk about the cargo volume that you get in the Pacifica. And looking at this rear cargo area, you have 32.3 cubic feet of cargo space. To put that into a little bit of perspective, bigger three-row SUVs like the Volkswagen Atlas, the Kia Telluride, and the Hyundai Palisade are all in between about 19 cubic feet to 21 cubic feet. So this has significantly more cargo volume behind the third row than most of the three-row SUVs. You really have to go into something like the Suburban or one of the really big XL SUVs to get the same or more cargo volume, which is a huge thing for families that use all the seats and need to haul stuff. Definitely still one of the huge selling points to getting a minivan over an SUV. Other than the cargo volume, you've got little LED lights here to help illuminate the area. You have buttons back here that can fold and stow the rear seats. This does have the stow and go options, which we'll check out a little bit more when we jump inside. You also have your vacuum kit back here, so you can vacuum up the interior if the kids make a mess. There's also a connector up towards the middle seats as well. We'll take a look at that again in a minute. And you get a power close button here that will close the hatch automatically. And before we jump inside and start taking a look at the interior, let's quickly talk about the overall size of the Pacifica. The full length is 204.3 inches. The wheelbase is 121.6 inches. The width is 79.6 inches and the height is 70.7 inches. So it's not super wide, but it is a pretty big vehicle, but definitely still easy enough to drive around and park in the city or take through school pickup lines without running over cones. Of course, one of your big differences here, again with SUVs, is going to be your ground clearance. You have a much lower ground clearance in a minivan, obviously, but that helps with things like entry and exit of the vehicle and with fuel economy, which we'll talk more about here in just a second. All right, so let's check out those rear seats. Opening up the sliding door. Sliding doors are excellent for families. Again, you don't have to worry about your kids hitting the car, dinging the car beside you that you parked on. You don't have to worry about how tight the parking spot is. These things open up sliding. Another great benefit of having a minivan over an SUV. You can see some of the functionality here with folding the seat. You also have the push forward so you can get into the rear seats easily. Or of course you can climb in and go through the middle, which most of the time the kids do. Of course this does have stow and go, so you can fold the seat down, lift up here, and it will collapse down into a pocket. For the rear seats, they fold down and then tumble back into some of the cargo area, which you can do with the push a button from the back. They do come forward and back, and of course lean back pretty far if you want to lay back more. You've got a little clip in the floorboard here that gives you your stow and go area. But let's hop on in and let's go ahead and jump all the way into the back seats. Ugh. All right guys, and just to prove to you that this is a good size vehicle, I'm back here in the third row with plenty of room, plenty of foot room, even pushed all the way to the side. I'm 6'1", bigger guy, but I fit back here just fine. I'd be comfortable. Maybe not if it was 3 wide, but definitely 2 wide wouldn't be an issue. And of course, if it's kids back here, no issue at all. We've had all the kids in this vehicle and they've been just fine. You do get USB Type-C, USB Type-A ports for charging back here. You get a little button that allows you to lean back even further. We get this little extra moonroof back here for the third row passengers, which is nice. My only slight gripe is that if the kids leave it open, there's no way to close it from up front. You got to come back here and close it, or make sure you get onto the kids and let them know to close this thing up. Access to the vacuum is back here. You get your own window shades back here as well to help keep it cool. Obviously your own AC vents, very nice. Cup holders, everything that you want. And you're not being skimped on materials back here either. Very nice materials. We even get these quilted leather lumbar pillows, and these can be used in the second row or third row, but they're super nice with the Chrysler crest there as well. Very nice touch. Although again, with my kids, they ended up on the floor a lot. But let's jump back in the second row. We'll talk more about what you get up here, and then we'll jump into the front and talk about the rest of the interior. And now that we're back here in the middle row, again, you get nice materials. You get your own AC controls back here, your own AC vents. You've got this long panoramic sunroof. You do get the dual screens here that are connected together, so you can actually play games back and forth. There's a ton that you can do. We got a DVD player up front so you can watch movies. You've got HDMI, USB, and headphone connections. We also get our own wireless headphones and remote back here. These seats are also heated seats, so you can turn those on with a button back here. You also have a nice console here with some cup holders, more extensions for the vacuum, and a pretty deep pocket here. We also have sunshades for the windows. All really great. Let's jump up into those front seats. All right, so here in the front row seats, there is a lot to go over, a lot of tech, a lot of new stuff. But to start it all off, let's talk about this interior and these seats. These are the quilted caramel Napa leather trim seats. They look fantastic and they are super comfortable. There's just a ton of detail, from the perforated leather to the quilted leather to the stitching to this extra trim right here that's a contrasting color. Even on the doors, you get that leather with the stitching. And then the brown stitching there on the black trim with some wood trimming pieces there. And then you get a piano black finishing here, which does collect a lot of fingerprints, and some more wood trimming here. A leather wrap steering wheel with this chrome trim here that does get hot in the sun, with some brown stitching. A lot of the accent lighting in here is all this blue light, which is really nice. Overall, just a really nice interior. But let's dive into it. We have a new integrated console with a pass-through. We've got wireless charging here. You got two USB type C and two USB type A ports, an auxiliary port down there, plus some just extra storage, cup holders, console. We also have a 19 speaker Harman Kardon premium audio system. And when I say this thing sounds good, this thing sounds really good. If I had to complain, it's almost too much bass for me. In some songs, even with the bass turned all the way down, this thing rumbles. But it is a great sounding system, which is great because we do have a Blu-ray DVD player, which obviously connects to the screens in the back, or even the screen up here in the front if you are parked. And speaking of that screen up here, it is a really large screen. It is touchscreen. It looks really good, nice and crisp. And this is Uconnect 5. It's an all-new Uconnect system. So Uconnect has been one of my favorite go-to systems. From Jeeps to Dodge to Chrysler, all have this really great system. This is the newest version. This is version 5. I have had issues with some of the screens locking, with some weirdness, with some just trouble opening some menus sometimes. I don't know if that's because this vehicle in particular, because it's a review vehicle, or just bugs in the system that will be updated or maybe already have been updated. But other than those small quirks there, this is a really great system. There's a lot to dive into here. You get a lot of nice interfaces. The home screen is nice. You can add shortcuts here. You can jump straight into your navigation. This top row bar has a lot of great shortcuts, including getting to your heated and cooled seats, your heated steering wheel, to turn up and down the AC and sync the AC. Obviously, we have redundant buttons for most of that here, but it is nice that it's up there in a quick menu. You've got this one here that will show you the interior view of the van. So if you need to check in on the kids and how they're doing, maybe if a kid's sleeping or something, you can look at a good all-around view and then zoom into whatever seat you want to look at more. And you can see the camera that's in the back that does all of this. It's a really great feature for families. Obviously, we do have the Wi-Fi here, so you have a Wi-Fi hotspot. You have wireless Apple CarPlay, so the phone's not plugged in, but we do have wireless Apple CarPlay, which is great. This little shelf here gives you another little shelf of shortcut buttons. Obviously, you've got your navigation, your AC and heat controls, including being able to control the rear seats, all of your vehicle settings in here, and extra apps from Uconnect Market. Again, just a plethora of really great technology for families. Moving back down here, you can see some of the audio controls and then some of the sensors and different controls down here. So your auto start, stop, off, lane detect on or off, parking sensors on or off. You've got all your AC and heat controls here, your parking brake button there, and your gear shifter is here. It is the rotary gear shifter, which has been in Chrysler vehicles for a long time and I have no issue with. It helps clear out the center console or not have it up on the steering wheel. I don't mind at all the electronic shifter and the rotary dial. Moving on to the steering wheel, we already looked at the leather wrapping and stitching. You do have the same basic controls that you get in all the Chrysler vehicles here. From your cruise control settings, which is a radar guided cruise control, to your driver information configuration here. And you have audio controls here on the back of the steering wheel. Speaking of that driver information display, we do have two analog gauges with a nice screen in between. And of course, you can scroll through and see different things, different information about the vehicle, about driving, using the buttons on the steering wheel. You do have great safety features like pedestrian automatic emergency braking system, a full speed forward collision warning plus, an adaptive cruise control, lane sense, lane departure warning, and lane keep assist, and blind spot monitoring. And Chrysler does claim that this does have more standard safety features than any other vehicle in the industry, not just in the segment, in the industry. With that, I think it is time to put this thing in gear. Let's take it for a drive, talk about how it drives, some of the tech as you're driving, and the engine under the hood with the power that you get there. So let's keep going. So again, we got the rotary dial to put it into drive. And the first thing you'll notice, it's quiet, it's smooth, and it's got some decent power if you want to get onto it a little bit. And that power is courtesy of the 3.6 liter V6 engine under the hood, and that has 287 horsepower, 262 foot-pounds of torque. It's matched up to a 9-speed automatic transmission, which is great. Our towing capacity with this minivan is 3,600 pounds. The fuel economy rating is 17 miles per gallon city, 26 miles per gallon highway. And during my week with it, I've been averaging 17.1 miles to the gallon, which isn't fantastic, but they do have the hybrid version of this vehicle. And we're doing mostly city driving and not highway driving, plus letting the car idle as we take pictures and video and stuff like that. So not completely a real world figure there, but it's pretty good. But with a full tank, you should be looking at about 475 miles on a tank, which is really good, especially if you're doing road trips in this with your family. It's always nice to be able to make it about 500 miles without having to fill up. This doesn't quite hit that 500 mark, but it's pretty close. Now, this is one of the all-wheel drive models, and while I haven't really put the all-wheel drive to the test with anything except for maybe some heavy rain, Chrysler does say it is one of the most advanced all-wheel drive systems in a minivan and can transfer torque to any wheel up to 100%, which is great peace of mind. And of course, it's not just figures and numbers. There's a lot that goes into the way that a car drives and feels. And again, this is a very smooth driving vehicle, especially once you get it up on a highway. It is quiet inside. You got a lot of conveniences for the kids in the rear seat, so they're not going to be bugging you constantly about stuff. The rear seat infotainment system is easy to use for the kids. So I have a 10-year-old as my youngest, and he's complained in other vehicles before about not being able to figure stuff out, not being able to get headphones to connect, not being able to start and stop movies and stuff like that. And in this thing, he's had no issues. The kids have been playing games all week. They've been watching movies as we take some drives, even if it's short trips. Just a lot of great family features there, which isn't specifically new to this year's Pacifica. They have had this in the Pacifica for a few years now, but it's just a great feature to have. And again, I know we already showed it, but having that, what Chrysler dubs the fam cam there, that you can just click a button and really see what's going on in those back seats without having to turn around to know if your kid's sleeping or if anything was left back there. It's just a great innovative feature, and I definitely applaud Chrysler for implementing it. The new Uconnect 5 system is taking a bit to get used to. I was so used to the Uconnect 4 system, and it was such a great system. There's a few times where certain pages weren't loading or weren't activating or whatever. It was really weird, but it's very sporadic, and usually turning the vehicle off and back on kind of fixes that. I'm hoping it is just a software thing that they've either already fixed or will be fixing soon. I haven't really asked if anybody else that's had these press cars or anybody that owns one of these have had these issues, so it could just be me in this car. All right, and with that, let's find a place to pull back over. We will jump out. We'll talk about the price and different trim levels that you can get in the Pacifica. I'll give you some of my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap the video up there. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so let's try to wrap it up quickly with some talk about the price, the competition, and some of my final thoughts here on the Chrysler Pacifica because it's hot. So first off, Chrysler only really has two vehicles that they sell. They sell the Pacifica. They sell the Pacifica Hybrid. They also sell the Voyager, which is basically a lower base model of the Pacifica. So if you're looking for something cheaper than the base price of this, you can get it. And then they sell the Chrysler 300. So basically a minivan and the 300. The Pacifica comes in 4 different trim levels, including the Touring, which has a base price of $35,820. You have the Touring L with a price of $39,120. Then you jump into the Limited, which is an all-wheel drive vehicle, and that is $48,815. And then this one, the Pinnacle all-wheel drive, has a base price of $54,095. This one that we're in right here, spec'd out the way that it is, has a full MSRP of $54,885, so only about $800 more than the base of the Pinnacle, which basically includes the destination charge. So this is what you'd be looking at if you're looking at the base Pinnacle. I'm not even sure what extra options they offer on top of that, but that's a kind of high price for a minivan, but it's a really good price for everything that you get in this thing and the level of comfort and convenience that this has. Competition-wise, obviously you're looking at other things like the Kia Sedona, the Honda Odyssey, and the Toyota Sienna, all really great minivans as well. This one takes it up a notch with all the luxury and tech that you get in there. And it's really been years since I've driven any of the other competition, so take that for what you will, but this is definitely one of the top-notch minivans that you can get on the market today. With that, again, I think this is a great minivan, great option for families. If you're looking at one of the 3-row SUVs and it's just too much for you, too much money, not good enough fuel economy, not good enough cargo capacity, looking at a minivan is definitely a great way to go for families. And again, I think this Pacifica Pinnacle is one of the pinnacles of the minivan segment. But even if you don't jump into this one, the other Pacifica models and even the Voyager model are great for families. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button. Be sure to leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the Pacifica and the new design. Be sure to go check out TXGARAGE.com for more written reviews as well as news and event coverage. Subscribe to the channel if you're into car reviews because we do weekly reviews here. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.